go back to my notes. So natural time and the synchronic order. What is synchronicity? So I've got it, what's coming to mind now is a line from my good friend Matrix's rap album called Made Out of Motion, which is totally coded with the most geekin dream spell codes there are. It's a hip-hop album, but it's hippie-hop, and he's got a song line that's like, what is synchronicity and how do we increase the, and I think that that's a really good anchor point in my consciousness for how I relate to synchronicity. It's like, what are the conditions in which synchronicity occur? And that's what I really think that this is a science of. I think that, that we accept that there is order and structure. So that's something where the word holonomic order, comes, and that is the science of whole orders. That's actually in the 28 Meditations of the Law of Time. Holonomics is defined as the science of whole orders. So, looking at the word order, I think that we're really coming to a point of being able to reassociate hierarchy and order into not being a negative thing. I think that a lot of alternative culture can sometimes buck away from system and structure because the only example that we've had of it is a corrupt structure. And so that can make them feel like all structure is wrong and we should just rebel against it. When that's not correct. Because cosmic order, cosmic is order. It could mean cosmic, cosmos is order. So a cosmic system reflects a cosmic system looks to nature and reflects the patterns in nature back. It's like permaculture, like you biomimic, you look to see what's happening. And as humans, if our art, if what we create is reflecting the order of nature, it's harmonious, it's beautiful. So that's what's hardly involved in holonomics. So, for example, if we say looking at nature, we can look at our human body, and it feels easy enough for everyone here to have gotten that we have 20 fingers and toes, and we have four extremities. But as I like to say from Arcturus probe, we are pentacled radiozoa. We are actually 5-pointed. We're bisymmetrical, pentacled radiozoa. So everything's reflected down this central channel. And along with our 20 digits, we've got the 13 articulations. So we have six joints or articulations on the right side, 6 on the left, and the 7th is the central column. And so therein lies some clue of how we are coded. We're coded to these number frequencies, and that is the coding of the Zolkin. There's 13 columns, 13 tones, and 20 tribes. So the other thing about this holonomic structure is that this is 1, okay? 1. But then we have 5, and then this is 1. Like this, this is 1 hand, so this is 1 finger. But when I put it with these other ones, it's still 1. And when I put all of these ones together, I'm still 1. And it goes on and on and on. And and the nature of something that is holonomic is that it is self-similar. It replicates itself in its same way. It doesn't mean, because everything is like that. That's the principles of the flower of life, is that all of creation is based on this same process of create that which exists again. Go to the edge of that which exists and create the same again. So there's this one principle, the principle of ones repeating. And that's really what we see in this system, because it's like if we look at the day, there's 4 times a day that we can recognise. There's dawn, noon, dusk, and midnight, nadir. You can see how that is one, and it's got its reflection, it's got its the same order in 1 year, because dawn is like spring, noon is like summer, dusk is like autumn, and winter is like midnight. So that is something that really is shown through how we're approaching this holonomic system. And and the image of a fractal is always comes up to me when I think of holonomics as well, because if you know fractal equations, it's the same pattern, and it might be scaled, it might be made bigger or smaller, and it might be rotated, and it might be a slightly different colour, but it's retaining its similarity. Like a fern leaf, like if you look at a fern leaf, like all of those little curls are the same. So that gives you an introduction to an approach. So instead of a scientific, empirical scientific, which is a reductive process, it takes one and it reduces it down into decimal points. So you end up with parts of things. This is not that. This is a whole number system. It's always working in orders of wholes. And so you can start at any scale and you can go bigger and smaller. And the oracle is really like that. It's like how you can get the kin of the day and you can reduce it down to its oracle parts, or you can find its G-force. You can keep zooming in and out, and there will be some correlation that you can continue. So I find that fascinating. Okay, so the Human Holon, that was talking about those things, the digits and the articulations, but as is, I'm grateful, quite well understood, we have an etheric body as well. We have bio-psychic generators of the chakras, and that's the 7, and that's where the 7 days comes in, because this is all time coded. So with that practice of cubing the plasmas, we get to extend and actually have consciousness of our field. When I think about the aura, the electromagnetic field, I think sometimes from the perspective of, if I was a being that lived on a different time frequency, like if I was a tree, for example, and I saw us humans, we would just be this flurry, like a blurry, like if all the moments joined up to one, you'd have this blur around you. And depending on your range of movement, whether like you're just like sitting in a chair all the time or doing yoga and stretching and dancing, would influence the appearance of your blur to those beings, if that makes sense. So I feel that even the visualizations of the cube and the cube, I love the word that Maya uses about it being, this system being incorruptible, and I really do feel like it is so, because there are a lot of systems which are about visualizing, your geometries of this and your fields of that, and I really like that this has the cube at its foundation point, because I was a 3D modeler. Believe it or not, when I first came into this system, I was making computer games on a system called Maya 3D, and I got the job in the computer game company because I'd done this 3D film for my assessment of where I studied, of this explorer finding this I did this 2D animation of this girl exploring with a torch and finding this crystal disc engraved with all these things, and she breaks it, and when she opens her eyes again, she's 3D, and this whole temple space is around her, and then a Merkaba flies in, and she's like, wow. And then she like goes to touch the Merkaba, and then Quetzalcoatl comes from the sky and swallows her. that was my 3D animation that got me dropped. So yeah, so that was why was it? Oh yeah, and so because I was doing that kind of work, I still have the feeling that the cube it's an awesome place to start, basically. Yeah, because there's this infinite what can be created once you've established your X, Y, Z. You know, like you've got your directions in space, and that's really also the gravitational. This is the TopoCosm. The like we'll be going into this more in detail at the Vision Council, but that you've got at the equator the gravitational field around the so biopsychic, so this vertical one that way, and that way is your electromagnetic. So we know that we have that. I have one. You have one, and we have chakras. And the point of the RINRI project and the Rainbow Bridge visualization is that the Earth has these things too. The Earth has the equivalent of ours, and we are, because basically we are the Earth repeated, like we are one, like the Earth is one, the Earth and I are one. And so I give credence, like in a sort of scientific perspective, I think that this stuff actually works because there's something called magnetic resonance and there's something called entrainment that is operating in our brain. So entrainment is the one that interests me the most because for some reason, if you have a string tuned to a particular note and another string beside it that's also, you move one string over here, it's going to move the string over there, and it's like, look, no hands, you know, they have that, some things that work, but anyway. So, because I think that we are like that, we are like these instruments, this is something we can do. We are not disempowered about the state of the world. We can work on our own holonomic integrity, and we can know that it's not a selfish pursuit either, because what it's actually doing is serving the whole by becoming part of what is actually a movement to initiate that kind of harmony worldwide. And that as many years as I've been into the work of the Foundation for the Law of Time, I'm always discerning and always finding that the motivation really is for planetary peace and harmony for all, and celebration of diversity. This is not something that is trying to corral everyone into one. It's drawing upon, with the greatest admiration of all the artists and the mystics and the scientists of so many traditions, that I can see Jose's respect for diversity, and there's no risk of this becoming some sort of mono-cultural thing. So that gives us the Human Holon, and it gives us the Planet Holon, and that leads us to the RINRI project. And so RINRI means ethical enlightenment, and in Japanese, and so that's the outcome to which is that the rainbow rings around the Earth is a sign for humankind that the Earth is sounding the lost chord again. That's where it becomes not just involving our planet, it becomes relevant to the whole solar system. Because Maya will be talking about a lot of this in her Lost Worlds, Weaving the Lost Worlds Well presentation of the Vision Council. But what is in effect there is that throughout our solar system there's been a discord, that the asteroid belt, Maldek, fragments, it represents some sort of lost frequency. And so what we're doing is to help to restore harmony and to live heaven on earth. As Maya said earlier, it's not about seeking somewhere else in which to live well. You know, we actually have everything we need right here, and it's actually down to the way, the systems in which humans use to govern their human affairs and to organise ourselves. This is where the only issue lies. We have an abundance of all we need. And so that's the most important work. So then that's just like bringing it back to the Holonomic Vision Council. I'm a crystal serpent, I'm a red crystal serpent, so I love being with other people. I'm like really happy when we're all together. Yet I observed the very thing that Maya spoke of earlier, of that, you know, even at the dad times and things like that, where it's like the same people would be in the kitchen, because they were the ones with the awareness that it was needed to be done. And it kind of just gets a bit tiring when you see those same, you know, at first it's like, great, you know, they like it, but they might like to be playing with the singing bowls and doing the things, and so I really cared about that. So we had a gathering called Alternation, which is at the alternation point of the year, so the opposite side of the year to the dad of time in the 13-minute calendar. It was January 28th, I think, and that was the first time where I was exploring and playing with the net time, Noosphere Earth time. So this is how we'll be structuring our timetable. I think timetable is still a good word, timetable, I don't mind that one. At the Vision Council, which is that there's 4 watches in each day. Like I said earlier, that you've got from midnight to dawn, dawn to noon, noon to sunset, sunset to midnight. You don't need a clock to know what time it is in that system, because even if it's cloudy, you can kind of get the sense that the sun's there. And surprise, that's close enough. You know, that will do. And we can still divide that down into smaller parts if we need to, but that gives us a sense of time. And so we get to be organised and do things, and you know, not have it just be sort of like bush week, you know, like no one's really knowing what they're doing, there's not much of a structure. There will be a structure, and that's one of the things about attending the Vision Council, is that there is a sense of being there to exert yourself, to be a luminary, to come as your galactic avatar, and to really be in the space with that type of integrity. So that's going to be beautiful in itself. And then there's the Earth family, the law of kin. So in addition to that, there's 2 main meals that we prepared each day. So how it'll work is that during the dawn practice, where there's an optional body, mind, you know, synchrogalactic yoga practices at dawn and dusk. During that time, if it's your Earth Family Service Day, you'll be making the meals, so that breakfast can happen immediately after the practice. And we'll clean up and have the rest of the day. But it's evolved from that thing of the law of kin being to be in the kitchen, to being like, oh, but then there's other things we'd like to do, like an interactive altar, which will have the 21 archetypes set up as a grid, but then it's like the altar for each day can be made, you know, magical, and the space can be kept beautiful. So there'll be an Earth family assigned to, you know, moving things around, keeping it all clean. And then there's the bathhouse, where we thought that, you know, and these are the things that we'd like you to bring as just extra delightful things. We'll have all the food provided, but if you've got superfoods or teas that you particularly like to share, and if you've got like things to make natural treatments to just leave there in the bathhouse, when someone goes to wash, maybe there's somewhere there for them to soak their feet, maybe there's hot towels that get passed around every now and then. You know, like, it's all up to you, it's that creative thing, but there'll be those aspects to it. And I think that it'll result in a really nice thing. Because personally, I like to know how I'm contributing. And I think that as a leader, as someone that's initiated things before, it's been a big process for me to learn to request that, to learn to ask what needs to be done and not just expect people to observe it and just do it. And I think that the law of kin is a really beautiful way to be able to do that without it becoming a stagnant leader position, because the law of kin is what keeps everything equal. It's the system and it's the structure that is what you're agreeing to do, not to follow someone's order. It's not about that. So it actually liberates us to all be on the same level of equality, and it gives everyone an opportunity to be a leader in that. You know, it's a fluid leadership style. Yeah. Yeah, and that brings us to the last note, which is self-regulating autonomy. So that's it. That's what we're aiming for, is how to be responsible for all the waste that we create, for the water we use, the wood. We're granted a beautiful space, which is actually outside of the 1260 matrix in its own way. Christmas Hills is this beautiful zone where we're welcome to create the temple, the bush space that we need there. And luckily, because we're involved with the space already, like Fernando and Antonio do temazcals there regularly, we know what goes into it. There's actually a lot of work that goes into maintaining a site like that. So one of the Earth Family tasks will be to go to the massive mandala garden that they've got and harvest the greens for the kitchen for the day, but also do some planting of native trees, because they're making a corridor, a wildlife corridor there. So it's going to be really like a connecting to nature sort of thing, as well as connecting to our community and the kin. And it will take... The great thing is that you don't have to know all the codes, and you're not even expected to learn them here. We're not trying to teach the how and why to be able to do this. There'll be other opportunities, and there's such great opportunity for self-education of that anyway. There's so many resources out there. Yet there'll be lots of guided visualizations and guided meditations. And so...
and games.
And games, yeah.
And steam baths.
Yes, that's right. That's right. There's a hot tub and a steam bath. Yes, in the middle of the day. We won't be having lunch as such, because I think that 2 meals a day is quite a lot. That'll be fine. But there will be like soup on the stove, and that's where we'll have snacks, good snacks. So if you feel to bring any just unprocessed ingredients for extra good snacks, we'll just have a snack station there, because that's at the time which you'll go off to your Earth families and you'll be able to do those sorts of things. And on the last evening of the Vision Council, which is the 4-day event, there's a musical, we back away from the verbal exploration, and we do a sonic, a sound healing thing. And I think that whatever it is that has come out, whatever the vision is, that'll be really when it sings right up into the Noosphere. We'll be able to send it right up out there. And then the next day is when Fernando and Antonia will be doing the temazcal, the Aztec Sweat Lodge, which is for the Vision Quest. So if you can take Tuesday off from work as well, that will be really when we send it down into the core of the earth and sweat it right through into our cells. So I'm looking forward to that. And that's about all I have to say. Thank you.
Yeah, I just wanted to add to that, except besides this awesome flyer that Evan and I have collaborated on, so we're very proud of that. We just got it off the press today. So take some with you and show people. When you were talking about the sound circle in the Rainbow Bridge, the crazy idea, I think one thing I feel from the general mass of the peeps is everybody's getting really overwhelmed. Oh, this is terrible. Some people are even, when I do occasionally go out into that world, basically basically a lot of people think we're on a lost train. I'm really aware of a lot of people thinking that they've lost their empowerment. And it's one of the reasons why I'm so grateful for Votan's work, because I've never had to follow anything. I just read and I remember who I am. So it's like this cellular remembrance. It's not about, this is how you do it. It's just, I felt that since I was a small child. And, this guy's great. He's as wild as me. That's awesome. He's a freak too. But I think society in general has lost their sense of empowerment. So the thing with the HVC Council vision was to come with being able to use our projection powers. And we're all aware that thought travels faster than the speed of light. And that was the major aspect that came to me when I was in Oaxaca was, wow, imagine if we all put the one projection onto the planet. So it's actually a Rainbow Bridge global telepathic noospheric experiment is the crescendo of the Holonomic Vision Council is to, and I also like to throw that out tonight, is to think of what heaven on earth looks like. So when people sit in their council every day, each Earth family will be given an Earth assignment. Like, if we lost our water supply tomorrow, or the Babylonians decided they were going to cut our water off, how would we purify whatever we have? So that would be given to one group for 4 days to work on. And then, if the electricity was cut tomorrow, or we started having interception with how much power we could use, how would we access free energy? And that will be given to one.
Or if we could take over shopping complexes and creatively reconstruct them to our own design, how would they be?
Just imagine if Kristen got hold of that idea, didn't you? But so the whole idea is to create visions within your Earth family, within your council. So over the 4 days, we're actually going to work in that sense of, in a smaller group, not a large group, but in a small group, being able to speak about what you want to do, and then at the end of the 4 days to telepathically project that from the Noosphere, which we'll be talking more about at the HVC, from this etheric field outside of the physical biomass of the planet. We have, of course, the Noosphere, which it's a pretty big bag. It's very hard to reduce into 15 minutes, but it's a very awesome scientific theory that appears to be turning into reality, and as time wizards we're just going, whoa. So it's all still very new for us in the Noosphere that's been open, but if you want to Google Noosphere and Votan or Vernadsky or Pierre Deschardin, you can find a lot of information on the Noosphere. A lot of the esoteric beings have been working on this formula, and it feels like the Votan work that Votan brought through before he passed, or consolidated before his past, is really, we have codes that we can access this incorruptible field and work from there as light workers. And it's not a place for everyone. It's not going to be a place for people with, there's a certain amount of exertion to get there. I feel blessed to have had glimpses here and there and into the Noosphere. But the whole idea of the Holonomic Vision Council is to, rather than feel overwhelmed that you can't do anything, that you don't have any power, that we want to collectively work with our vision of heaven to earth and telepathically project it onto the planet. So it's a game.
I had this memory of Seal Galactic Wizard just then saying, it's not for everyone, but if you're one of those people with a flip-top head, I remember the Reach toothbrush ads where it's like making over the head up. If you've got that ability and you want to like go up there, it's for you, And I'm really fascinated by space weather. I really have been, I've been blogging, like looking at these websites that tell us what's going on, because especially this last year we're at the solar maximum cycle, which is when the sun has its maximum amount of solar flares. And we've been like getting heaps and heaps of energy from the sun anyway. Like in the last like couple of weeks, they've been the largest geomagnetic storms since last year. And how about that storm? Was it Saturday night?
GMX 108.
Yeah, on Saturday night. I question whether that was actually a local weather event. I really think that electrical storm that we had in Melbourne was a lot to do with this interplanetary shockwave. And I'm not making this language up, just so I've been looking at space weather, which is for like scientists, people that look through their telescopes, and they were like, an interplanetary shockwave from an unknown source has hit the planet. And we're still trying to we're speculating on what it may be. And it was a co-rotating interactional region is what they think the source of the shockwave is from. So most of the geomagnetic storms we've been having is directly because the sun has released one of its rays, like a prominence, and it's streaming extra solar winds through the whole solar system. But when it happens to be towards the direction of it's drifting towards the Earth, that's when we collect it in our electromagnetic fields, and it gets put to the poles, the north and south poles, as aurora borealis and aurora australis, because essentially there's so much light that it's getting compressed in at the points, and it spectralizes, it becomes rainbow light again. And we've been getting lots of that, but normally it's from the sun, and this time on GMX 108 on the galactic, it was from some interaction of a colder stream or a slower moving stream of solar energy and a faster one actually created like some sort of like little thing, and it actually shot extra. So that was cool. And that's why, to me, when I've gone like, why are we on this mission, Maya? Like, what is it all about? I think we're like, at the moment, we're like cats that have like been plugged into an energy circuit. We're just like, everyone's just like frizzed out, going, like every hair is standing on it because there's so much energy. And it to me that these types of gatherings, and we're only one of many places where these vision councils will be happening in our own, we're just one of many. But it's like we're combing. It's time to comb everyone, smooth it all down.
That's what you have in the hot tub.
Yeah, just like let it be all like detangled. and how actually that is how we will fulfill our vision, because that same combing is happening where instead of everyone taking their vision off into their own little direction of where they think is best, we come together in a trusted environment where we trust the motivation and the integrity of the people there, and we say, yes, let's all align our vision. Let's let that principle of like, the many sticks make each other stronger. It's like that. I feel like we're doing that. So yeah.
Awesome.
Thanks.
I love that.